What is up, guys? This is Alex with Double Move Sports, back with another perfect offseason breakdown. This series has been so much fun to do, and we keep working through the teams. The engagement's good. You guys are seeming to like it, so keep dropping in the comments below which teams you would like to see me break down next. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Check out the ones I've already done of them: the Jets, Dolphins, Bengals, Patriots. And today I'm getting into the Indianapolis Colts and what would make them have the perfect 2021 offseason as we look to the 2021 NFL season. And typically what I do with these breakdowns is I take a team, I take their current roster, and I look at their cap space, look at their draft capital, and I say, what do they need to take it to the next level, whether they're rebuilding, whether they're competing. So first I'll look at that team's free agents, who they need to re-sign, who they need to let go. I'll look at the potential guys on the open market and pick out a few big names that they might need to sign. And then I'll look at the draft capital and what team needs that they have to see which young players can come in and make an impact. So I'm super excited to get into the Colts today. My personal favorite NFL team, I am a huge Colts fan. This is what I would love to see them do this offseason. So this one is going to be a lot of fun. Now, the Colts are coming off of what I would consider a pretty successful season. 11-5 season, snuck into the playoffs. Frank Reich at head coach, maybe some questionable decisions there in that wild card game, but he's a gambler, so I respect it. Disappointing outcome. And I didn't think they were Super Bowl contenders all along because of the quarterback position. But if you look at this team's offseason, I think they're in a win now mode. They really need to address the quarterback spot, the wide receiver spot. They need a dynamic playmaker, and they need some depth pieces around as well that can fill in some key roles for this football team. So fortunately for the Colts, they have a lot of flexibility this offseason. $86 to $101 million in projected cap space. That's the most in the entire NFL. A lot of that comes from some of the free agents they have. I mean, Phillip Rivers and Jacoby Brissett alone are going to free up like $40 million in cap space. We'll see whether or not I pick to re-sign them here in this video, but they do have a lot of open positions that they need filled. So it's not like they're going to be able to go on a spending spree, bring back everyone from last year and sign like 5 huge name free agents, but they do have flexibility to shift this roster into something a little bit different for next year. So first, let's look at this list of Colts free agents, and it is extensive. On the offensive side of the ball, you have Phillip Rivers, Jacoby Brissett, Marlon Mack, T.Y. Hilton, Zach Pascal, and Trey Burton. Those are the key names. There's a lot of backups, true depth pieces, practice squad guys. We're not going to break down every single player, just the key names. On the defensive side of the ball, you got Malik Hooker, Justin Houston, Denico Autry, Xavier Rhodes, TJ Carey, and Anthony Walker. Also worth mentioning, Anthony Costanzo has announced his retirement. So they're going to have a hole at the tackle position as well. So first, let's look at the offensive side of the ball. In this scenario, I think the Colts need an upgrade at the quarterback spot. Rivers was fine. His numbers were good last year. You know, it was a love-hate relationship for me as a Colts fan. Some games he actually did okay. I think even in that wild card game, he played okay. In some games, I'm like, dude, we need a new quarterback that can lead fourth quarter comebacks, that has some juice in the tank, that's actually going to go out and grab the game and win it rather than just trying to cruise based off the run game, based off of the O-line. So I think Rivers, we need to let him retire. I know it seems like Frank Reich is giving him the option to come back. I think they need to let him go, talk him into retiring. I don't want to pay him another $20, $25 million to be the starting quarterback. So we're going to let Rivers walk. Jacoby Brissett, great backup quarterback, but we're going to let him go as well here. $15 million is just too much to pay your backup quarterback. I would love to see that cut in half, $7 to $10 million range, but still, I would rather the Colts go out and get some more dynamic players for $15 million. So we're going to let Jacoby Brissett go. Marlon Mack, I think this one's obvious. We'll let him go with Jonathan Taylor, and Nyheim Hines has a great 1-2 punch at the running back spot. T.Y. Hilton's where it gets interesting. I think you can bring back T.Y. Hilton as kind of the face of the Indianapolis Colts. If they can re-sign him to a reasonable deal, I mean, he's getting into his early 30s now. His production has leveled off a bit. I don't think he is going to necessarily command a true wide receiver 1 contract, but we look at, you know, his number last year was like $13 million, and I think they could get him around $9-10 million per season, save a little bit of money off of what they paid him last year, and still get a veteran, a guy who can produce for this team moving forward. If they can do that, I think it would be great to bring Hilton back. Pascal, you can let go. Gave this team a lot. was a very good fill-in wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, but with Paris Campbell coming back from injury, Michael Pittman as a rookie last season starting to emerge there, and then here bringing back T.Y. Hilton, we just don't need Zach Pascal as well, especially when that's a position we're going to want to address later on with a stud. So we'll let Pascal go. Trey Burton, bring him back. Shouldn't cost you too much. Can play with Doyle in those 2 tight end sets. So there's your offense. I'll show it on the screen here. On the offensive side, who we're going to keep, who we're going to let go. Now let's look at the defense. A lot of pieces here. You got Malik Hooker, Houston, Autry, Rhodes, TJ Carey, and Anthony Walker. I would love to see them bring Malik Hooker back. I know there's been a lot of debate around this guy, whether he fits the scheme, whether they want to bring him back. I think you do. He's a great player, goes great alongside Julian Blackmon, who really emerged in 2020 at the safety spot. And of these 2 pass rushers, Houston and Autry, both gave you solid rotational production last season. Houston is a very good veteran who's had a very good career, but I think at this stage it's time to let him go. Bring back Denico Autry, who had a very solid season as a pass rusher. I think they could probably sign him for a slightly lower contract than Houston at this point, so bring him back, a key role player on that defense who made a ton of plays. And then at the DB spot, you got Xavier Rhodes and TJ Carey. I would love to see them bring back Xavier Rhodes on a 1 to 2 year deal. I know he's getting older, former All-Pro, but I think he showed enough this season to where he can be the 2nd or 3rd cornerback on this team, bring some veteran leadership there, and make some plays and definitely give you depth at the position. With Rhodes coming back, I think we can let TJ Carey go, look to address that in the draft. And then Anthony Walker, just a solid starter in the middle of the defense. Bring him back to a solid deal to be a key piece of this Colts defense that's so strong. They have Darius Leonard as a playmaker. They have DeForest Buckner as a playmaker. Guys all over the field that can shift the momentum in one play. Bring back Anthony Walker just to be a solid, stable piece of the core of this defense. So really quickly, I'll recap on the screen here who we're bringing back, who we're going to let go, and with Rivers, Brissett leaving, along with Justin Houston, some of those bigger names, bigger contracts, veteran guys, we still should have plenty of that $86 to $101 million in cap space to use in free agency. So we look at free agency, and there's 2 positions I would really love to see the Colts address here. One is the wide receiver spot, and one is the offensive line, that replacement for Anthony Costanzo. We're not going to address the quarterback just yet. I'll get to that as we get into the draft. But first is the wide receiver spot. I know we got Hilton, Pittman, and Campbell in this scenario, but I still would love to see them bring in a true alpha wide receiver 1. And fortunately for the Colts, the wide receiver class this year is incredibly deep. A ton of true wide receiver 1s in this league could hit the open market. I'll flash those names on the screen now. You got Allen Robinson, Kenny Golladay, Chris Godwin, Juju Smith-Schuster, Will Fuller, even some veterans like A.J. Green, Marvin Jones, players like that are going to be potentially available. But I think Chris Godwin would be a great signing for the Colts, can be a true target monster for whoever the quarterback is next season, can really draw those number 1 coverages and win against number 1 coverages. And I just think that's going to open up opportunity for Campbell, for Pittman, for T.Y. Hilton in this offense. And I think Chris Godwin would just be an incredible signing for the Colts, a team that so desperately needs a guy who can win off the line of scrimmage, can beat guys deep, a crisp route runner, good hands. I know he showed some drops a couple times last season, and a couple games really struggled, but Chris Godwin has absolutely emerged as a stud wide receiver in this league. I think they give him a contract and bring in an alpha wide receiver 1 for whoever the quarterback is next season. And then to the offensive line, I think you need a tackle to replace Anthony Costanzo. I would love to see them bring in Darrell Williams, offensive tackle from Buffalo. He's 29 years old, graded out very solid per PFF last season, would be a great veteran signing for a Colts O-line that's already top 5. Bringing in Darrell Williams as a solid veteran piece to replace Costanzo should be hopefully very, very seamless in a line that I hope to see have a lot of continuity moving to next year, as you still have Nelson, Kelly, and Braden Smith there. So Darrell Williams is the signing there at offensive tackle. And of course, they're going to bring in depth pieces in free agency, some guys on the offensive and defensive side of the ball to fill out the roster. We don't want to go into all the deep names, the role players they're going to bring in, but these are the 2, splash signings, if you will, that I would love to see the Colts make. So yeah, Chris Godwin and Darrell Williams. Now let's move forward to the draft. And the big question here is, will we let Rivers and Brissett go? Who's going to be the quarterback for this Colts team? And we're going to answer that in the draft. And let's really quickly flash the draft capital up here. Round 1, pick 21. Round 2, pick 54. And round 3, pick 84. They have some round 4 through 7 picks as well. But we really want to focus on these first 3 rounds. The hit rate isn't quite as high in those day 3 picks, round 4 through 7. So we really want to focus on guys that can come in and make an impact right away for this Colts team. And in round 1, pick 21, you're going to get your quarterback, and you're not going to draft him. You are going to trade this pick for Carson Wentz. I know this is a very polarizing topic, but I still think Carson Wentz has some juice, and you've got to take this risk if you are the Indianapolis Colts. You reunite Carson Wentz with Frank Reich, who got the best ball out of Carson Wentz that we have seen to date. You see if you can get some sort of like Ryan Tannehill-esque career revival from Wentz as he switches teams. And, we saw Tannehill go from Miami to Tennessee. Totally new offense, totally new system, really rejuvenated his career, just a new setting, new scenario, could hit the reset button. I hope to see something similar from Carson Wentz. You give him a better O-line, you give him better playmakers, and you give him an organization that's going to put their full confidence behind him without all these question marks. And I think Carson Wentz can still produce for this Colts team. No, maybe he doesn't go back to that MVP form that we saw several seasons ago, but could he easily be an upgrade to what we saw from Phillip Rivers this past season? Yes, absolutely. Carson Wentz was getting absolutely pummeled because of a bad offensive line last season because of injuries. He didn't really have much of a chance. So I would love to see Wentz on this Colts team with weapons, with a running game, with an offensive line, and let's see what Wentz can do when he doesn't have to go put the team on his back every single game. And I know the next controversial question is going to be, can they get Wentz for just the 21st pick in the first round? I think they can. This is the perfect offseason scenario, and I think this is fairly realistic. There's a lot of, outlets I've seen, a lot of reporters I've seen that think, Wentz is only going to yield around like 2 and around 5 pick because of the contract and the poor play we saw. There's a lot of people that think he might require a round 1 pick and more. So for the purpose of this, we're going to say they're able to pull it off for that round 1 pick. Maybe they have to throw in a 4th rounder or something like that, but we're just going to go round 1, pick 21 for Carson Wentz, get your quarterback, give him Chris Godwin, T.Y. Hilton, and those young guys and Michael Pittman and Paris Campbell, give them an O-line and a running game. Let's see what we can do here. Next, we'll move on to round 2, pick 54. And we're finally going to address the defensive side of the ball. The offense is looking really, really solid at this point. But let's go ahead and build onto that Colts defense that has those playmakers in Darius Leonard, DeForest Buckner, even Rock Yassin, Malik Hooker, Julian Blackmon. Let's get Tyson Campbell, cornerback out of Georgia. He's a great man-to-man corner that could come in and play on the outside immediately as he develops. He needs to work on his zone game, among some other things. But he's got raw athleticism, and Tyson Campbell could come in, be a guy you utilize right away, and he could develop into an every down starting corner in the NFL. Use that round 2 pick on Tyson Campbell. I know we saw TJ Carey depart in free agency. We'll still have Xavier Rhodes, Rock Yassin back, but that would be a great guy to bring into that room and watch him grow and not have to throw him in to, like an every down starting role necessarily right away, depending on what he does in camp, how he sizes up, matches up against some of these NFL wide receivers. So that's the pick there in round 2. And in round 3, we're going to give that pass rush some help. We saw Justin Houston depart earlier in free agency, so we're going to pick up Patrick Jones, defensive end from Pittsburgh. And the Colts defense actually does a great job with rotating in role players, situational players. I think Patrick Jones could come in, maybe not be an every down guy, but he can have an immediate impact on this defense, come in fresh, make some plays, get a decent amount of snaps, and have an impact. So Jones helps that defensive line, gets you a young player that can continue to develop. You get one in the secondary, one on the D line, on the defensive side of the ball, and help continue to build out that dominant Colts defense as we look forward to 2021. So that does it with all the moves we're going to make. Really quickly, though, I would love to recap because a lot just went down. First, free agency. Here's the guys we let go. We let Rivers, Brissett, Marlon Mack, Zach Pascal, Justin Houston, and TJ Carey go. Anthony Costanzo has also retired. So those are the key departures on this Colts team. Here's who we're bringing back. T.Y. Hilton, Trey Burton, Malik Hooker, Denico Autry, Xavier Rhodes, and Anthony Walker. A lot of key playmakers there, a lot of key starters for this Colts football team. And now let's look at who are some of the new names we're going to bring in, give this Colts team a revival and a push to be a Super Bowl contender and not just a playoff contender. In free agency, you're going to go pick up Chris Godwin, key wide receiver 1 for this football team. You're also going to bring in Darrell Williams, who can replace Costanzo on that O-line. And then in the draft, I mean, this is big time. We're going to trade that first round pick for Carson Wentz. See if Wentz can lead this Colts team to a Super Bowl. See what you have in him, and try to kind of revitalize and rejuvenate his career with Frank Reich. And then in round 2 and 3, you're going to address the defense. Pick up Tyson Campbell, cornerback out of Georgia. Patrick Jones, defensive end out of Pittsburgh. So that does it. This wraps up the Colts' perfect offseason. As a Colts fan, this would be absolutely incredible if this happens. I think I would be more hyped for next year than I've been since the season that Andrew Luck retired in the preseason. So, still kind of hurting from that Andrew Luck retirement, but hopefully this perfect offseason would absolutely, make the Colts Super Bowl contenders once again after we saw a super successful season there in 2020. So guys, let me know what you think of this video. Would you do anything differently? Sign different free agents, draft someone differently? What do you think about the quarterback situation? I want to see it in the comments below. Also, let me know which team you would like to see me break down next, because more of these videos will definitely be coming. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. It helps keep the wind in our sails here at Double Move Sports. But again, this is Alex, and we will catch you next time. Peace.